Now, I would consider the Fujifilm XS-10 to be one of the better or even the best cameras for doing YouTube things that came out in 2020 with its Fujifilm colors and the ability to shoot 4K video without that unsightly crop. So if I thought that camera was so great, why did I exchange it for the Sony A7C? Now, I'm not making this video to sway you into one camera system over the other. Rather, I just wanted to share my perspective, my insight into why I chose to switch, and maybe you could make use of it with your camera decisions. A couple of points of advice though before you even buy a camera. Number one, decide and understand what it is your objectives are when purchasing a camera. What is it that you're gonna do? What are you gonna be shooting? And where are you gonna bring your cameras? And number two is to do a lot of research for each camera system that you're interested in shooting. For example, my personal use case is for casual videography, travel vlogging, shooting video of cats, and really that's the focus, travel videography. I purchased my first camera, the Fujifilm XS-10 for the purpose of travel videography, to bring to Japan to take videos of the scenes there. It's just that since the pandemic happened, I wasn't able to travel, so I wasn't able to shoot a lot of video, but I was able to determine what I needed out of a camera. That's why I purchased the Fujifilm XS-10, because it had in-body stabilization, great for vlogs, as well as the ability to shoot in a log profile. Those two features actually won me over for the Fujifilm system, because prior to that, it was very rare to find stabilization in Fujifilm bodies, and being able to color grade my footage was very enjoyable. So let's get to the point of this video. Why did I change? Like many Fujifilm shooters, I was looking forward to announcements by Fujifilm about new bodies, new camera bodies, new lenses, and especially with the release of the Fujifilm X-H2S and the announced X-T5, I wasn't very excited about the video features that they were offering to casual videographers like me. Not to say that there weren't any improvements. I am aware that there are a lot of improvements in the video space for Fujifilm cameras. It's just that I still think that Fujifilm is primarily a photographer system first and a videography system second. So for my personal use cases, there wasn't really anything exciting about the new Fujifilm bodies and lenses. But the actual turning point for me with the Fujifilm system is when I took the Fujifilm the XS-10 out to Singapore, and the nature of Fujifilm being a photography first system was very apparent. The stabilization on the XS-10 wasn't super good for what I needed to do, especially with the walking shots. Plus, when I brought out the 10-24mm lens, it was very, very wobbly, which isn't something I usually see in other people's videos using the Sony wide-angle lenses. That's actually why I bought the 10-24. It was for that purpose, for vlogging, because it had stabilization built in the lens. It's just that it just wasn't cutting it for my use cases. But again, I'm not saying that the XS-10 nor that lens are bad things. It's just that I needed something more YouTubery, if that's even a word. So here came a very hard decision. Wait for Fujifilm to catch up with the vlogger space, or just simply jump ship to a different camera system, and guess what we did? So now we have the Sony A7C together with the 24-105 f4. Why I chose this combination is for the size plus the convenience of having that very wide range. Let's talk differences. One big difference is the full frame sensor. We're shooting now on the 24mm wide end of this lens, and it's very, very different. I didn't think that APS-C to full frame would be this different, but here we are. It's very different. But one trade-off that I'm experiencing now is the weight. The Sony system lenses and even the body is drastically heavier than what I'm used to with the Fujifilm system. For me personally, it's fine, but for you deciding, it might be a consideration. Other than the weight and the size, there's also the branding of weather sealing. The Fujifilm XS-10 did not have weather sealing. This camera, I think, does, but or the internet says it does. And just having that assurance of it being weather sealed, not that I'm gonna throw it in the rain, is very reassuring. I plan on taking this combo to Japan during winter, and just having that weather sealing aspect when it's snowing just gives me that much more assurance. Now, I'm not sure if it's the lens or the camera system or both, but I did encounter a lot of exposure stepping with my XS10 with the 10-24, but that's not something I see on other people's videos using the Sony system, so that's 1 point for Sony. One interesting thing I see people complaining about with the A7C, the Sony A7C, is the grip. It's just that when you're coming from the Fujifilm system, you're really not used to having a good grip anyway. So the A7C's grip is actually a lot better than what I'm used to. Again, for my style of shooting, I like to have a dedicated way to switch quickly to a slow motion mode. On my XS10, I needed to set a custom button for it. For this system, for the Sony system, there's a slow and quick mode on the dial, which super quickly I just turn the knob and we're in slow motion mode. So I think that's up to personal preference, but for me it's super duper easy just to turn that knob and switch to slow motion mode. But something important for me as a person who makes YouTube videos is the in-body stabilization as well as the autofocus, which is very, very different on the A7C versus the Fujifilm XS-10. The A7C locks onto your face quite stickily. It locks onto your face, while the Fujifilm XS-10 loses you quite often, regardless of what lens you're using. And I think that's something that Fuji is working on. But even with that improved autofocus, I think that in-body stabilization plus the autofocus from the reviews I've seen are still not comparable to what you can get out of the Sony system cameras. So finally, do I regret switching? The short answer is no. I don't regret switching. I am having a lot of fun with shooting on the A7C, but the long answer is no, I don't regret switching. But what I do regret actually is switching to the A7C. While it is a great camera, I kind of think that I might have done better to switch to an A7S III, which has a lot more YouTubery features. Even an A7 IV might have been better, but this camera, the A7C, has been a dream camera of mine ever since I decided to get into video things, camera things. So just having this camera, I'm very, very happy with it. So expect a lot more videos coming out from me with this camera on this YouTube channel. With that being said, look forward to more content using this camera. We're going to be shooting a lot of things moving forward, especially that we have a lot of international trips planned out. Get ready for that. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. I'll see you in our next video.